on this week's episode of Tides of Lore.
Crocodiles, elite murlocs, and then trolls that worship a blood god.
The unpleasant realization that you've officially become the kind of pirate who fights his own people.
It's the law to pay your taxes, okay?
No, Taco Bell, we're not for real. Sponsor us, Taco Bell.
Oh, yeah, King Kong.
Approximately 150,000 years old. What?
Well, no, they wouldn't have even came here because they're from the Dark Portal.
Booty Bay's about to find out whether or not it is truly as impenetrable as the Baron wants to believe, or whether or not up to this point it has just been lucky. Hey guys, real quick before we start, I just want to throw out a special thank you to our Patreon supporters. Seriously, your support means a lot to us, and it's a huge part of how we keep the show going. So thank you to Xander Harris, Time Lost Crow, Hyde Lord Titan, Pewter City Gym Leader, Aurelianus, The Away Fan, Insulin FTW, Bubba VSE, Arez Jerry, Watto21, Mo, Johnny Clash, JT Tech, Niles Sierra, and our newest member, Bagged Milk. So thank you so much for that support. If you want to join them and become a member of the Tide, check us out at patreon.com/tidesoflore. And if you can't right now, it's totally okay. A like and a comment still make a massive difference. Let's get into it. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 61st episode of Tides of Lore. My name's Robert Silva. I'm one half of your host team, joined as always by my good friend Tim. How are we doing this week, Tim?
Oh, I'm feeling really good, Rob. My pay time off is coming up. I'm having the Away Fan. You've probably seen him in the comments. He's flying out. We're going to a Colorado Avalanche and Detroit Red Wings game. They have a big rivalry, and we're from Michigan, and I live out here in Colorado. So we're being it's in his name. We're being the Away Fans, and we're going to get yelled at, and it's going to be fun. We're going to do some yelling.
Yelled at in Colorado.
But I'm excited for that. But he comes out when TBC kind of launches. He's out, like, the end of the trip is, like, he leaves, like, the day it releases or the day before. But so I've been prepping, right? Because he comes out in a little bit. I'm not going to have much time, but I got the Hunter fully PvP geared. All the PvP gear you can get. I got him a sick elephant mount ready to hit TBC running. I got my Ravager to level 60, got the max level abilities and everything. Like, I am juiced. I'm ready to go. I have 95 marks of Arathi Basin, 40 of Alterac Valley, 44 of Warsong. We're trying to cap them, get fully, PvP honor, PvP marks, and that way we're ready for Outland. It's been fun. I've been really enjoying it. Really. What about you?
I mean, I've been joining you for some of those PvP matches. I have chronically hated PvPing in Classic WoW, but I wanted that weapon. I think we mentioned this last week, but even then, just playing with the boys has been fun. Except when it's in Arathi Basin. Like, a lot of fun. AV, a lot of fun. Arathi Basin,
we've refined it.
Not a lot of fun.
We've refined it. You just
we've refined it.
So you have one go to stable. You have the rogues, like one or two rogues go to gold mine, and then you have everyone else go to blacksmith, and you just overrun them, and then you split. You have some go to farm, some go to LM. You take all the points, and then you choke hold them at their graveyard.
Well, we'll have to give it a try one of these times here. But yeah, I mean, again, never historic. Like, I have PvP when I have to. I did this because I decided that trying to fight over pieces of raid gear with 20 other people is not as
terrible. It's terrible.
Painstaking, or is more painstaking rather than just grinding PvP and getting this rank 14 gear. Well, it's easy. So yeah, I've been there with you. We had our housing event last Friday.
Oh yeah.
So I got my house ready for that. Yep, probably gonna have some stuff on screen for some of the new housing stuff. We probably have the VOD playing. We also do have the VOD up. We've decided that for these housing events, we spoke with the Patreons and everything. These VODs will be staying up for everyone to see the progression of the Tide Hunters Cove as it continues to make its way closer and closer into midnight. So it was really cool getting to see everyone's houses. My goodness, some people are so talented.
We have, of course, DCP. We all know DCP. He's been crushing it. But we have some new people that weren't there last event that came this event and their houses are crazy, dude.
Yeah. I apologize. I can't 100% remember how the name was, but it was like Nerissia, Nessarian, something like that.
Yes.
Another druid.
He was my favorite house. I think it's him and DCP.
Absolutely insane. I mean, everyone has been doing really awesome stuff. Kai with their like altar room for the light and the silver hand. Really loved it. The detail, like seeing everyone, how much detailing they put, like making this book on this shelf and making it slightly crooked and making it feel a little bit lived in. It's been really cool to see. So again, if you guys want to join that, still plenty of plots in the neighborhood. Join us. We've been doing our endeavors as well. Started doing that. We are a friend of the Grummels, right, Tim?
Yeah, we kind of just sent it and didn't know it had implications choosing, but hey, it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was just going to be like, hey, these people are in your neighborhood now. Okay, cool. And I was like, yeah, I'm a friend of the Grummels. The Grummels should, have a spot to stay. But, they have challenges to go to Kunlai Summit and do stuff. I mean, I literally, for the first time in so many years, have been mining and stuff like that, trying to get our endeavor up because I want that espresso machine. And
it does
the coffee stuff is the most ethical thing I could possibly think of for our neighborhood is to keep them properly caffeinated. So I have no regrets choosing the Grummels on top of, obviously, friend of the Grummels. But yeah, just a lot of WoW in my life. Been playing more Company of Heroes. I spent 2.5 hours last night getting absolutely dog walked by a expert level AI with our friend JoJo, but that was pretty fun still. Regardless, I love the scale of that game. But that is all that has really been going on with me last week. But Tim, last week in the podcast, we ended up discussing the second part of apparently our 3 parts of Stranglethorn that we ultimately ended up calling A Promise Made. We discussed some raptor stuff, some troll stuff. Tim, what do you remember?
I remember. Did we talk about Zul'Gurub and like a raptor we were raising? And literally like raid bosses from Zul'Gurub like show up and we fight them and stuff. If I remember correctly, all for this raptor that we're trying to raise.
Yep, we found this raptor. It loves us. Eventually it finds a skull, and we find out that it's like the descendant of the raptor boss from the original Zul'Gurub. And then for some reason we're like, let's resurrect this skull for this guy. And he's like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. So we do it. Turns out it's not a cool guy. Takes our raptor, goes off to Zul'Gurub. We do some other stuff, including fighting some water elementals that are happy to the trolls, and we fight off a lot of trolls because it's Stranglethorn Vale. And ultimately, your paladin becomes strong enough that he charges in to this new heroic Zul'Gurub dungeon, fighting the, I'm trying to remember, Manokir, the Bloodlord Manokir, and reclaiming our raptor that was rightfully ours. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, that was the main plot line, I would say, that goes on in that kind of middle chapter that we had for Northern Stranglethorn there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else too interesting to talk about. Not really. We do a little bit of magic stuff using some brains and some feathers, but that's for the most part not that important. But that is all that we had going on in the podcast last week. Last week, you guys did also have a few comments for us, as well as the poll. So while Tim looks over those comments that I sent to him in his DMs, I'm going to read off the results of the poll from last week, which was, we asked, be honest, did you ever complete the Green Hills page collection quest line? And we had a 14.3% say never, I gave up. Another 14.3% say yes, every time. And 71.4%, the overwhelming majority, saying once and never again. Which is crazy, because Tim said, like, I've never done this quest in my life.
Ooh, no, dude.
I saw...
It collect like 60 different pages, and they take up all
of
your
gun or something like
space,
that.
And then you can combine them. You can like, combine different chapters, but only if you have like all the pages from
specific
that chapter.
Pages. Yeah.
I said fuck that immediately, and it really surprises me that people have actually done that. How many people voted?
So I don't have the actual chart pulled up anymore, but I believe that it was 5 votes for once and never again, and 2 for never I gave up and yes every time.
I need to start voting on these because we need more data. I think because this is just crazy.
Yeah, so again, guys, that poll is accessible through our Discord. We have an episode discussion for everyone where you can vote, as well as on the Spotify page. It is just attached to the episode. Same poll, we just combine the results. So, yes. Tim, what comment were you looking to highlight from last week?
Hello. Saying I want to thank you guys for this podcast. I work night shifts as a cleaner, and you two have kept me sane all this time. Been wowing since vanilla, but stopped after the end of Legion. I mean, yeah, Legion was good. What was after Legion? FA?
The Battle for Azeroth.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Came back at the end of War Within. Oh, okay. That's when they're starting to get their shit together. I like that. So this has been a nice little lore refresher. Cheers. You two have been a huge help in game and out. What a homie. Pete Love, thank you. That was very kind.
Love to hear it. It's exactly the kind of wow people we were looking for this podcast to find. So, I know we get a handful of these comments and we like to highlight them, not just to stroke our ego, but to show that, your guys' kind words really do have an effect on us just as much, how we, approach the podcast with the best mindset we possibly can. So thank you so much. It's awesome to hear. Happy you've been getting back into WoW. However you've been enjoying it. Hope you're excited for Midnight. I'm going to actually highlight Raylan also over on Spotify saying, I'm happy to learn that I am not alone in my cult classics movie list. Yep, we mentioned this back with the Rambo movies. I have actually been once again trying to make another list because there are still a handful on there that I haven't seen. I recently watched Forrest Gump. Honestly thought it was going to be all hype. I thought that it was going to be not as good as people made it out to be. I really thought it was great. It is actually a pretty good story.
Never watched Forrest Gump.
Never watched Forrest Gump until like 7 days ago or something like that. Yeah.
I mean, I don't consume any media, and I've seen that. That's when you know it's bad.
I admit that there were plenty of Tom Hanks movies on the original list. I just ended up going with Castaway and Saving Private Ryan. I didn't get to say it to Forrest Gump, and it was one of the biggest ones that was still remaining. So I am happy I watched it. I'm happy it was good as everyone said it was going to be. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. Tim, what is one of your favorite older kind of cult classic films that you'd say? I know you don't say you consume a ton of media, but if you were to say that you do enjoy a film.
Man, that's hard. I mean, I like the old are they cult classics, the old Star Wars? I mean, that's what I grew up with.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yep. I mean, I would say by definition they are cult classics, that they literally founded an entire subgenre of sci-fi fantasy. So
yeah,
100%.
That's what we started with, and all my friends then, the games and everything, Battlefront, and that's really what started my love for, I don't know, I guess sci-fi and then video games.
Man, I'm right there with you. We've talked about it with some of our Patreon members, but it does not take a lot to please me with Star Wars. I love Star Wars. There's the new Darth Maul. I think it's a series coming out, not a movie, but animated series. Oh, it's gonna be so fucking good.
Animated, dude. I couldn't watch the fucking Clone Wars.
See, and I can not agree with you at all on that. Clone Wars is peak Star Wars in my opinion. I can go on for ages about how I think it makes everything in the prequels feel so much more logical and progress in such an actual way that I think something should progress. But I do also understand that some of it's not the best and it's not for everyone. So yeah. Enjoy what you guys enjoy. That's ultimately whatever it comes down to. Whenever I try to consume stuff, I'm just trying to consume what I enjoy and hope other people are doing the same. But yes, thank you so much for your comment, Raylan. That is all that we had for you guys from the comments. So let's hop into today's episode and finish up Stranglethorn, shall we?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Hey Tim, did you know that Tides of Lore is a Patreon now?
Oh yeah? What do I get if I throw some support on Patreon?
You'll get ad-free episodes, a member shout-out, live stream access, and exclusive VODs, the full package.
So basically, skip the ads, get your name in the show, and help us keep telling Warcraft stories?
Exactly. Join the tide at patreon.com/tidesoflore. So there you were, back at Fort Livingston after you had just finished up dealing with all those ogres and all those elementals, and definitely getting your raptor back, because that's what heroes do. When Wulfried Harries has one last by the way for you. He reminds you that the Explorers League is expanding down south, and that Brown Hughes Strikes thinks that he sounds something really old down there, possibly Titan old, which, to be fair, is how you end up either famous or exploding. So you do what heroes do. You take the road, you flag down Robert Rhodes, you accept the flight, and you fly on over. As the world changes beneath you, the green canopy broke into a coastline as you drop into the Cape of Stranglethorn, where Booty Bay lights glitter like someone spilled coins into the dark. The Explorers League digsite sits on a cliff like a stubborn settlement. Dwarves with clipboards, crates, and labels, shovels, and stories. Bronwyn looks over and nods once and basically says, Wulfried has a good eye. You'll definitely do. Then he hands you the real reason you're here. Because reminder, we went into the ogre's spot. We didn't really talk about this. We went to the ogre's spot, and they had some sort of crazy magic rock on them. We decided to pack that bad boy up and send it on down here. A sample that they say they cannot place. Ancient, weird, definitely not something that you want in your pocket during a thunderstorm. So to solve this, they turn to Dask the Flask Gobfizzle. Pure confidence in goggles. He hears carbon dating potion, and he reacts like somebody just asked him if he can make water wet. He says it's easy, simple. He could do this in his sleep. He just needs the ingredients, because of course he does. First, you're sent north into the Vale where those basilisks glare at you, once again judging your whole life choices. Goris, a dwarf who clearly rehearses speeches in the mirror, makes a whole thing about it to sound noble. Kill the useless belly-scrapping basilisk. He says it as if you're doing a civic duty, an improvement in practice, cutting down dozen chrysalid lizards while they try and turn you into a lawn ornament. And because Dask can't be normal about anything, he wants I'm just going to call this essence. He wants the essence from a basilisk so large it basically will have its own weather system. So you push into the mine, find this iron jaw behemoth, wrestle a vial of this iron jaw's essence out of something that probably shouldn't be that thick. And Dask takes one look at it and decides that it is unusable unless you cut it with something pure. Sure. So you head west into Naga territory. You climb up the Nakami Wellspring and steal what Dask very casually calls the holy water of clarity. These Naga shrieking the jungle, pretending it's not watching. And you manage to do it. You bring it back, and Dask does an entire performance. We just mix these together, give it a little swirl, alchemy, alchemy, alchemy. Drips the potion into the sample, and it freezes. The result makes no sense. Tens of thousands of years old. Then his numbers spike into the absurd, and he blurts out something like approximately 150,000 years old. What? The dig site goes quiet in the way that it does when everyone realizes that some rock might actually have a backstory. This is, I could be wrong. I think this might be like the oldest dating that we get in the game. Because like we know that like the war with the scale board and all that stuff in the Dragon Isles happens in like 20,000 years before the Dark Portal. We have no idea what goes on at like 150,000 years before the Dark Portal.
You think the ogres? Well, no, they wouldn't have even came here because they're from the Dark Portal. Where'd they get it?
That's the question, isn't it? Clearly something very ancient stirs beneath Azeroth. It's this like, I think this is the first time that somebody has actually given us like a time for how long maybe the Titans have been here. And it's probably way longer than that when you really think about it, just because, I mean, they constructed an entire planet, had an entire war with a cosmic entity force and all that shit. So it's probably a really long time. Just again, to see the number is interesting to see. While Dask spirals, the dig site keeps functioning because of course it does. It has to. Lindsay Hughstrike, Bronwyn's own kid, is running a little side hustle as the town merchant, quotes. She ropes you into the practical problems of living on a cliff in a war zone. You do a quick loop along the coast, the jungle edges, sweeping up what the dig site needs to keep its morale intact. Collect Acris, reeds of the Naga explorers, because apparently those are good for medicine. Armor lining, cigars, a range of uses that feels suspicious. You find these Naga icons that the Naga left lying around, which is Lindsay's way of saying theft with enthusiasm. You bring back plush pelts, tiger, panther furs, because nothing says archaeological expedition like soft, fuzzy merchandise. Then Lindsay notices something that does not fit. A troll woman, hiding behind some crates, silent, patient, watching. Lindsay doesn't mock her, does not call for the guards, does not make it a simple problem. She makes it a gift. Bundle the soft reads, and she asks you to deliver it. Simple kindness in a zone that doesn't actually ever have any. I've mentioned Dreamwalker, one of the guys that we've been featuring their art on the podcast a bit more, but they have this art piece that's like an ad for like coming to Stranglethorn, and it shows like all of these people like having like a really good time and like fishing and like waving at each other from the bridge and stuff. And then they have a follow-up art piece that is like all of them dead and like hung from the bridges and like crocolisk eating them and stuff like that. And then it has like another headline that's just like, it was going to be nice, they said. Come, they said. Just one of my favorite art pieces. I'm going to have to feature it here so that you guys get the picture. But describes Stranglethorn very well. Looks nice, is not.
No, I mean, even the Horde or the Alliance is trying to kill you too. Holy moly. And then you have crocodiles, and elite murlocs, and then trolls that worship a blood god.
Well, I also love the art piece because it has like, there's like the Alliance characters and they're on the beach waving. And then in the follow-up picture, it's like there's a Horde rogue and stuff like that that's like fishing in their spot afterward, and they're like dead on the floor with daggers in their bag. And up on the bridge, there were like the Horde characters. And then I'm pretty sure up there's either like a dwarf rogue or like a warrior or something, and they're all dead and hung from the bridge. So grade A work. Truly ST Vietnam at its core. So you step aside the boxes and meet Maliwick of Zuldazar. She accepts the gift, looks at you, and says very calmly that she is not sad. She's just waiting for somebody, for you. She has marked the... Hold on. Big burp. Okay.
Big.
She has marked you as the most promising person in this strange town. She has a task. Not from the dwarves, not from the rebels, not even Booty Bay itself, from the shadows between troll stories. The name she puts on the table is one that you've already felt brushing past the edges of Stranglethorn through whispers, Zanzil. Back at the digsite, Dask is also saying the name, which is, not comforting coming from this guy. He wants samples of Zanzil's mixture, he says. The sort of behavior alter brew that turns trolls into something more like zombies. He mentions the risk of you becoming one as a minor side effect, but regardless, you head to the ruins, crack through the shambling followers, and bring the vials back. Dask grins. This mixture is perfect, he says, and then, like a genius, decides to test it on the mystery sample. Because Titan artifacts are supposed to be inert, the camp gets a brief lesson in surprise physics. A big explosion. Dask dusts himself off, and with a quiet horror of a man realizing that he might have just invented a problem, he says, well, that was unexpected. He's now obsessed, though. He sends you to go steal Zanzil's formulation from the ruins of Abaraz, because if a mad troll alchemist has the recipe, Dask is going to need that. So you go, once again, fighting through trolls, and you bring it back. Dask practically jumps with excitement, saying that think of all of the applications, which of course, this is absolutely going to be used irresponsibly as hell once again. But in the end, after all the potions, all the testing, all the drama, Dask has to admit defeat. Not Titan, not Serenite, old enough to make the timeline feel weird. He sends you back to Bronwyn with the simplest, most painful conclusion a research officer can offer. Inconclusive. Bronwyn's not surprised, though. He's just disappointed in the ways that dwarves get when the world refuses to be cataloged properly. Sends you to his superior over in Booty Bay. Figure by the name of Erwin Bantamflax. And when you arrive, Booty Bay is, well, Booty Bay. Goblins shouting, deals, pirates pretending that they're entrepreneurs, the whole place perched over the water like it's trying not to sink in by its own schemes. Erwin takes the sample, eyes narrowed, and says the only thing that she can say. Fascinating. She then takes a look around. She then tells you to go look around and come back later because sometimes the most terrifying parts of archaeology is waiting for the person with authority to decide what it means. But my thread does not wait for that paperwork. You're then introduced to another figure, Chabal, a Gurubashi troll and a hunter with a mission. He doesn't sugarcoat it. Zanzil the Outcast himself is on the move again. Rumors say that he is planning to return to Gurubashi society, and worse, Apparently, he's been linking up with that other guy that we kind of heard about, Jin'do.
What?
The Hexer, the blood god guy.
He's pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah, so we gotta... Well, if being a troll wasn't bad enough, obviously this is grounds for execution.
Would you say trolls are the most killed race?
Yeah. I mean, they exist on, like, every single continent. They are an enemy in, like, every version of the game. I'm trying to think. Is there an expansion that you don't fight trolls?
Hold up. No, even in Shadowlands, you're killing some trolls. I was like...
I think the closest one is, like, Legion. There's not many trolls that you're fighting in Legion.
Yeah, there's not very many Legion.
And maybe Dragonflight, but even then, like, a bunch of the Primalists are trolls, too. Regardless, trolls are the day one ops, even to other trolls. Where's that one groundskeeper Willy meme is like, the trolls, they ruined fucking Zul'Gurub. And it's just like him shaking his hand as a troll or something like that. There we go. Yes, that same Jin'do whose name still tastes like old blood. Bad history. Chabal does not ask you to charge a camp. He asks you just to listen. He gives you a Gurubashi incense and sends you to the totem of Hir'eek at the ruins of Jubawal. Fun fact, this is the same like bat god that we actually do end up encountering in BFA, Hir'eek. You place the totem at its base and the world tilts. You become something shadowy, bat-like, carried by Hir'eek's guidance, lifted off the ground and flown southeast, like the jungle itself has decided. It's time for you to witness what comes next. And there at Abaraz, you watch the scene unfold. Zanzil stands by a bonfire as the shade of Jin'do, the Hexer, approaches. The words are sharp and familiar. Zanzil recognizes the mask. Jin'do recognizes Zanzil's talent. Jin'do speaks of the Gurubashi falling on hard times, of survival, of old names returning. He tells Zanzil he's recovered bodies, priests, and Zanzil laughs about old friends, spits bitterness about exile, and then agrees anyway. Because that's what Zanzil does. He makes monsters out of ingredients and grudges. And when the vision ends, you are snapped back to the totem, like a hand pulling you out of a nightmare. Chabal's response is immediate. Well, it's all the evidence we need. Time to go kill Zanzil. So you go to Abaraz, ready for a fight. But Stranglethorn does not always give you the battle that you want. Zanzil, he's gone. His portal, wide open, humming, but with that wrong kind of energy. And the quest changes shape mid-step, because now you're not just hunting him in the jungle, you're following him to the ruined heart of the Gurubashi Empire. You step through Zanzil's portal and arrive in Zul'Gurub, the broken capital of power that we're just going to pretend that you haven't already been through one other time. You know, it's been your daily reset. He's back. Bat totems mark Jaleek's terrace, and you can hear Zanzil shouting somewhere ahead, bragging that he will resurrect her before you can interfere. You push up the ramp, find the body, and destroy it before his ritual can take place. As Zanzil begins to panic, he snarls and realizes that Jin'do's not going to be very happy about that one. Time to get out of here, he yells, before he vanishes through yet another portal. But get back here. The light's retribution has not been had with you yet. You chase deeper into the city as the terrace shifts. The statues are now snakes. Vinoxus, follower of Hethys, is next. Zanzil tries again, throwing stronger brews in the air like he can potion his way out of the consequences that the light is about to deliver onto him. But no, the fight is ugly. It's frantic. Zanzil's bravado cracks when he's pushed to the edge. And of course, he slips away again, resetting himself, scrambling for a space like a cornered animal. But you finish what matters in that moment. Vinoxus falls. Zanzil wails that he is a failure, and then the air turns colder. A shade appears. Jin'do's presence fills the terrace, and he speaks with a calm anger of somebody whose plans have just been collapsing piece by piece. Like, man, you probably should have just stayed dead, dog.
Normally
the Shadowlands could not be that bad. As a staunch Shadowlands hater, it couldn't be as bad as getting farmed by a bunch of people. Jin'do tells you that you've interfered for the last time, and for a moment, it really looks like the story ends there in the ruins under the gaze of dead gods. But then a balloon drifts down into view. Hughes Strikes floats on a tour balloon and shouts something that sounds like it belongs in a brochure. Drops a ladder, grab onto it, and Zul'Gurub drops away beneath your boots as you're hauled back towards the light. Praise the light! The jungle, the coast, with Jin'do's threat still hanging in the air like a smoke you cannot cough out. The Cape of Stranglethorn started as a dig site with a mystery rock, and it continues with you realizing that the Gurubashi are still not done. That Zanzil is not just a lunatic on the coast and somebody trying to stitch Zul'Gurub back together with resurrected priests and old blood and promises. But that's the time for another farm. Again, we got our raptor out of Zul'Gurub. That's the storyline we're here for. We'll leave the Zanzil guy for somebody else to go on farm later. Booty Bay's cove glitters off in the distance once again. Salt, ships, and yes, of course, trouble. You return from that balloon ride out of Zul'Gurub with your heart still doing that post-near-death thumping that it does. The first thing that hits you is the noise. Ghouls, grog, goblins. Yelling numbers like they're selling the concept of money itself. Somewhere down the dock, someone is being threatened over a card game. Somewhere else, someone is being threatened over a different card game, and somehow both of those threats are now legally binding. Erwin Bantam Flax tells you to look around while she told you to look around while she studied that strange sample, and Booty Bay takes that as an invitation to hand you, well, every single problem that has washed ashore in the last month. It starts appropriately with something that quite literally washed ashore. A half-buried bottle. Cork with a note inside, handwriting that is far too tidy for Stranglethorn, a plea for help, a prisoner on an island in the South Seas, watching shorelines to the northwest and ships to the southwest, begging whoever finds it to come. The kind of message that sounds romantic until you remember that Stranglethorn's idea of romance is you got bitten, but only a little. So you grab a boat, or you just swim, or maybe you have a water skipper. Wait, no, those don't exist. Those came in mist. You don't have a water skipper. So you're walking. You're walking or you're flying. I guess Kata brought flying to the old world, so who knows?
Water walking potion.
That is true. That is true. Or maybe you're just a shaman who doesn't give a shit about any of those things. You were built for this moment. And you make your way out to the Jaguro Isle. And there she is, Princess Puba, a Tauren woman in chains on a jungle island, calling herself royalty with absolute confidence of somebody who has decided reality will simply have to cooperate with her ideals. She looks up at you and hits you with, "Have you come to free me, hero?" And then immediately she adds a condition. "First, you're going to have to deal with all of these cats stalking about, because it would be embarrassing to get rescued only to get eaten 5 minutes later by a panther that was already circling." So you go. You cut down more panthers as they seem to melt in and out of the grass, and Puba, finally satisfied, moves on to the next critical phase of the escape plan that you have. Her stuff. The apes, monkeys across the islands have stolen her possessions, and she needs her tiara, her scepter, and her slippers, as well as her diary before she's ready to leave. Which is when you realize that this is not just a hostage rescue. This is a royal relocation. You retrieve the items from these grubby little paws, and you hand them back, and only then does she agree that the time is right. Not to leave, no. It's time for you to kill her captor. Do you remember who her captor is over on this island, Tim? Big monkey?
I don't remember her captor.
Shouts out to King Mukla.
Oh, yeah, King Kong. King Kong.
Her captor, King Mukla, the massive sky mane, and the island itself's appointed tyrant. You find him to the southeast, and you weather through the chaos of fighting a literal... I mean, he's huge. He's like 20 times bigger than any other gorilla you encounter.
Especially for classic big.
Oh, dude, yeah, no. I think... Wasn't he in Elite in Vanilla, and then I think they made him just a normal in the TBC version?
I know in classic or vanilla he is elite, but it would be very weird if they made him not an elite and he's that big, right? And you just
he's not an elite and he's
him.
that big now because I did it. Yeah, I soloed him on my warrior. So yeah, I thought that too while I was fighting him, which I thought was interesting. I was like, I thought you were an elite. I guess not. But yes, eventually you bring him down. You pry loose the shackle key, and Puba is finally free. Grateful in that very sincere, very dramatic way, she blesses you with a line that is honestly not a bad life model for strengthening. May the wind always be at your back. You make your way back to Booty Bay. The dock's still boiling. You pass a man who looks like he's been professionally wronged by the ocean itself. Captain Hecklebury Smots. Formerly successful, formerly respected, currently living in a lifeboat. Because sea giants, you know, those guys, we mentioned them back in Daenerys, nasty creatures. What did they do? What they always do. Smashed up his ships, killed his crew, stole his captain's chest. And for what might be the most insulting reason imaginable, too. A snuff box. What's a snuff box?
Where you keep your snuff.
What's snuff?
You've never up to snuff? You don't remember that? It's like
I do know that line, but I thought it was just
powder.
A fun thing to say.
I think it's WoW's version of cocaine.
That yayo?
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah! Well,
here,
never mind. That's not even
WoW
insulting.
Snuff. Let's see here. What is snuff?
According to this person on Reddit, it says
Smokeless tobacco that is either inhaled
practically cocaine
through the nose or placed between the cheek and gum.
Oh, so it's like an actual like tobacco leaf, kind of. Well, no.
Inhaled through the nose? I've never inhaled it. Well,
how the fuck does that work? Yeah, I don't know. So it's pretty. Never mind. You know what? Get these mans they drugs. The sea giants need to turn up too. I respect that. But regardless, Smots, he doesn't respect that, and he wants revenge. And because you are a loyal officer of the light, you're going to go help him. He wants his chest back first, so you go to the east of Booty Bay. Pick your way along the coast and find the giant Gorlash, which for some reason they didn't make this guy not elite. He still whooped the fuck out of me.
Interesting.
Looming by the waterline like a tidal mistake, you take him down, reclaim Smot's chest. Smot clutches it like it's a piece of his old life and then immediately admits that no, this is not it. Revenge is not complete. Next, Negolash. Smots remembers the moment, the sea foam, the way that the sea giant snatched his crewman from the crow's nest and swallowed him whole, and the plan is simple in the way that a pirate's plans always are. You're going to go buy a crate of grade E meat. Grade E meat from Kelsey Yance. Buy a crate of...
Like Taco Bell meat?
Like Taco Bell?
Yeah.
No, Taco Bell. We're not for real. Sponsor us, Taco Bell.
No,
I love Taco Bell.
I call a spade a spade.
He also wants you to buy a crate of Papelli Pervio's port. I did my best. From Whiskey Slim, and that you use quantity over quality to lure in sea giants. So you haul the crate of giant food and into a ruined lifeboat along the coast. You set the liquor in there as bait and you wait. Negolash shows up and you introduce him to the concept of the light's retribution. Then Smot sends you to finish the last and the biggest one, Mokrash the Cleaver at Gennaro's Point, the island off the pier. Taller than a wave in the windstorm, hammer like an oak tree, and an attitude that says, I have never been told no. Until today, you swim out there, you tell that creature no, and you fight for your life, eventually bringing Mokrash down. Smots, hearing about this, is ecstatic. No more excuses, he says. He can return to the high seas, a life of pillage and booty. All he needs now is a ship. And honestly, that sounds like a problem for the future, Booty Bay. Well, all of that is happening. Booty Bay's internal ecosystem continues to function like a machine built out of bad decisions. Sea Wolf McKinley, the local debt collector, recruits you into his gentle 3-phase system of persuasion. First, he sends you to go scare Shaky Philippe by hunting Miss Velgorillas for giblets and then handing those giblets over as a message. Shaky ends up paying immediately. You take the pouch back to McKinley, who laughs like this is just harmless fun. This is not very paladinly. Tim.
Yeah.
Why are the paladins enforcing debt collections?
I mean, it's the law.
I thought they were supposed to be
It's the law to pay your taxes. Okay. Taxes and church and giving money has always been a thing. All right.
Pay your tithing or be excommunicated.
You're getting it.
And by excommunicated, I obviously mean the retribution paladin type of excommunication. Then he upgrades you to the phase 3 of his plan. 3 debtors hiding out along the eastern coast. You take what they cannot afford to lose. Mari's clubbed foot, Tittle's torque wrench, and Ephraim's jeweled mirror. McKinley is delighted when he sees all that you've collected and delivers the moral of this story with a grin. Be careful who you gamble with. We literally stole this man's leg. He was paraplegic.
Well, don't gamble what you can't afford to lose.
Tim.
Like,
I would love to see you just play a goblin paladin. As that concept, it sounds hilarious.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I know it's not possible, but fuck me. And because Booty Bay cannot resist stacking more misery on top of that misery, you also bump into Finn Fizzracket, who is convinced he's dying of Stranglethorn fever. Technically, Cape of Stranglethorn fever, if we want to be really technical now. But the cure of that is the heart of an elusive white beast by the name of Mok the Savage. Tells you that his good buddy, the witch doctor Umbwanga, will be able to help you. Because, of course, the cure is going to lie with a witch doctor in a hidden cave. So you play along, you go, speak with him. He tells you that you're going to need to get a summoning done and hunt Mok, who, just so we're clear, is a gorilla, but a drastically smaller gorilla. A little bit bigger than a regular one, but like a little...
He's got a squad with him, though.
He does bring a gang with him, though. He rolls 40 deep.
Yeah, it actually might be harder.
It's pretty brutal, yeah. But with the summoning done, you hunt Mok, you bring back that heart, and Finn wakes up like he's just had the worst nap of his life.
Hey, you know how you're always telling people to listen to Tides of Lore?
Of course, I am my own biggest fan.
Well, now it's even easier. We're on Apple Podcasts, Audible, Castbox, Spotify, and YouTube.
So I can tell them, wherever you listen, that they can just hit subscribe or follow.
Exactly. No matter where you are, Azeroth Stories will find you.
Booty Bay is loud. Booty Bay, completely ridiculous, but Booty Bay is actually also in danger. Because while you're solving the island's princess problems and pirate revenge fantasies, the Bloodsail Buccaneers are doing what they always do. Planning and pillaging. It begins when first mate Kraz of the Blackwater Raiders asks you to scout the cove north of Booty Bay. You head up to a land known as the Savage Coast, find a stash, and discover all kinds of evidence that makes your stomach drop. A map of Booty Bay with a red X placed exactly, well, where you're standing. Orders, a command post, a waiting game, a name assigned to lead it. Lieutenant Bruce. You rush back to Kraz with that correspondence, and he immediately tells you that well, this is above his pay grades, but the Baron, Revelgraz, the guy kind of runs all of Booty Bay, he's going to want to know about it. So you should go talk with him. So you report this planned attack, and Revelgaz does not panic because Booty Bay has never survived an attack by panicking. He just wants to know the details. You do what Booty Bay considers intelligence work then. You raid the Bloodsail's southern camp, slaughter their sea dogs, elder magi, and come back with charts and orders. Enough pieces to see the shape of what is coming and what is planned. In the middle of this, you are also running errands for the working class pirates of Booty Bay, because even during this looming attack, people still want their snuff and their enchanted eyeballs. So you go collecting those from these pirates as well. You bring Deeg back his stolen snuff by prying it out of those Bloodsail's hands, retrieving Dizzy's one eye, an enchanted glass eye, so that he can stop living in a world made entirely of guessing and regret. Booty Bay pays you and applauds you. Of course, it keeps on drinking, but that's when another clue ends up surfacing. Quieter, and somehow a little bit worse. A weather-beaten coin taken from the body of good boy Bruce, stamped with an unfamiliar ship and name on the back of it, the Brash Tide Crew. Someone in Booty Bay's piracy business knows what that means, so you take it to Fleetmaster Seahorn, and he reacts instantly. Bruce was once Blackwater, he says, before Gilneas ports were closed and his crew was held captive. Seahorn never expected loyalties to flip like that, not like this. He offers to keep the coin and pays you for it, but you can tell he's not buying metal. He's buying certainty. Because the Bloodsails, they're not just circling anymore. They're setting up. They have plans and names and marked targets. And Booty Bay, for all its noise and swagger and smug confidence, is starting to feel the pressure. A change in the air. As night falls, the cove of North Booty Bay feels different. Now that you've seen that red X on the map, the waves keep rolling in like nothing happened. The torches still flicker. The goblins still count coin. But off the cape, ships are dropping anchor, and the Bloodsails are beginning to bide their time. As you make your way back through the town, salt on your armor, grit on your boots, and that coin's name ringing through your ears, Brash Tide, Lieutenant Bruce. A command post on the Savage Coast. Booty Bay's about to find out whether or not it is truly as impenetrable as the Baron wants to believe, or whether or not up to this point it has just been lucky. And the next step seems obvious. It's not good. You don't want to just sit there and wait for those guys to hit you first when you have the greatest paladin since the last level 60 paladin. Booty Bay has that sound right before a storm. Not the thunder kind, the someone is trying to try something very stupid kind. Baron Revelgraz has your charts, your orders, the map with the red X, and that ugly feeling that this is a little bit too obvious. 3 ships devoted to cannon fire, a handful of footmen through the tunnel. That's not an invasion. It's just a distraction. So Revelgaz does the most Booty Bay thing imaginable. Tells you there's only one way to solve this. We have to take them down from the inside. You need to join the Bloodsail Buccaneers. And you're just like, okay, cool, yeah, sounds great. You find Yancey Gristleton at the waterfall just north of town, a recruiter with a grin like a dagger, and you play up to the role. Keep your face neutral and try not to look like somebody who has been personally ruining Bloodsail plans for the last however many levels. Yancey sizes you up and says that there's just one thing before you are family. You need to go and kill another pirate. Bring him the head of Fleet Master Seahorn, which on paper, a huge problem. In practice, Seahorn hears this and laughs. Frillin wants my head? Now that's interesting. Seahorn's solution is pure tar and mischief. He points you at Riggets, who has a cow. He points to Gnarlik, who sells pirate hats, and he tells you he wants you to return with a cow head and an oversized pirate hat. After you do, Seahorn hands you a horribly convincing prop and tells you that it is the head of Fleet Master Seahorn. He calls it shameful and admittedly finds it amusing. You deliver the head to Yancey, and Yancey is just thrilled, because of course he is. He shakes your hand like you just got baptized in seawater. Welcome aboard. Plunder and booty await. Now you're in. And the moment you're reminded that the pirate hierarchies are built on one sacred rule. Everyone starts as a swabby. Yancey hands you papers and sends you south to the westernmost ship, the Riptide, to meet Captain Keyhall. Keyhall looks at the paperwork, looks at you, and announces that your legendary reputation means nothing on his deck. You're going to be slaying one thing, and one thing only. The stains on these decks.
Yeah, swab the poop deck?
All the decks. Them shits better sparkle. I want them shining. You pick up the Swabby's mop, scrub Riptide's deck until it shines like a star ruby. It is humbling as it is loud. It's a full body workout. It's also a little bit hilarious because you're a paladin of the light on a grand undercover mission that currently involves chasing imaginary dirt for minutes. Pretty boy Duncan offers to do it for you for a coin. Then the other Swabbies start making a request. Pretty boy Duncan begs you to dive for cannonballs because he has tiny arms, a weak respiratory system, and there are, well, sharks down there. That's nothing to you, so you dive in anyway, dragging 6 of these bloodsail cannonballs up from the water like you're hauling guilt out of the sea. Down at the galley, Gar Salthoof pulls you aside with the most pirate problem ever. Scurvy. Someone stole the lime shipments, and pirates don't fear death, but they do fear gum disease. And without having any of that juicy citrus to prevent them from getting scurvy, they will perish. So you have to go and raid the nearby islands, bring back 5 bushels of limes. Gar treats you like you've just saved the fleet from a slow, miserable demise, in which, to be fair, you did. Your work gets noticed. A letter comes in from Fleet Master Feralion himself. Captain Keyhall announces with a real quick sadness that he's losing his best swabby. Feralion wants you aboard the Crimson Veil as his jack of swords and third mate. So you go, you step onto the Crimson Veil, and you meet with Feralion. He's calm, sharp, professional. Kind of pirate who makes you uneasy because he doesn't need to shout. He says you did well on Keyhall's crew, and he expects you to do even better here. Welcome aboard. Now your training, it's going to get serious. Up on the deck, Iron Patch introduces you with an ancient, falling apart cannon named Old Blasty and tells you to practice hitting Smilin' Timmy sticks 5 times with those cannonballs. Again, a little absurd, but it is exactly the kind of absurdity that becomes very dangerous the moment you point that cannon at a real target. Iron Patch decides that you are ready for real targets. He sends you to the Black Gold operation north of the Cape, where the venture company is pulling black gold from the sea. You climb onto a rowboat with a bloodsail oarsman, glide into range, and turn the rig into chaos from a cannon seed, blasting 75 of these venture oil workers until the water froths with panic and oil. Presumably oil.
I mean, black gold, that's what I...
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I just don't know if snuff can be something else, or I don't know. The blood cells cheer. You try not to look too pleased about it, and then Farrellin hands you a new assignment that does kind of make your stomach twist. The Damsel's Luck is the third ship in the fleet, moored to the east. Her skipper, Captain Stillwater, he's dead. Those damned masked hoodlums, Farrellin says, like it's just a minor inconvenience. Though, this is a good opportunity, and he promotes you. Congratulations, you are now the newest captain of Damsel's Luck. You walk into the captain's chambers and find the truth waiting on the table. Plans, battle formations, the whole attack on Booty Bay laid out like a perfect recipe. And the name that keeps resurfacing like a corpse that refuses to sink, the Brash Tide Crew. So you do what you can while you're still wearing a pirate hat and nobody is questioning it. You accuse 9 Bloodsail Corsairs of mutiny, kill them because mutiny is awfully hard to disprove. You sabotage barrels below decks, grog, gunpowder, cannonballs. You set the fleet back days. And you do it all with a completely straight face. And then it's time. You must go and hunt the Brash Tide answer directly. You speak with Long John Copper on the Damsel's Luck, Enormous Sean Stuker on the Crimson Veil, and Wailing Mary Smits on the Riptide. The last piece clicks into place. The Brash Tide crew are not just pirates, they're Worgen pirates, not just random mercs and bored raiders. A crew with a history, teeth, and a grudge that has survived years. This is not just one attack, this is 2. You head back to Booty Bay and hang up the pirate act before it gets you killed. Baron Revelgretz listens, and the moment you say Brash Tide, his expression once again changes. He says he thought that they were dead, gone years ago. Now it makes sense, he admits, that this is not good news. Booty Bay is not ready for a 2-front attack, and it will take a small miracle. Revelgretz asks you for one thing first. His double rum. He's going to need to be nice and turnt. He's going to need to be nice and turnt for this one. So you head down to his chamber. 3 flights, first door on the right. Find a barrel with warnings that you absolutely ignore because you got bigger problems than whatever's in this drink, even if it might strip paint. You bring it back the moment you do.
Maybe I am a goblin.
The moment
Maybe I am.
some things lining up. Oh my gosh. You bring it back, and the moment you do, the town shifts. Outside, something's happening. The attack is here. Revelgretz drains his barrel as fast as he can, breathes out fast, and looks to you like you are no longer an informant. Tells you that you are a lifeline, that we must now save the town. Revelgretz sends you forth to fetch Narc's hand bombs from the old Port Authority. You sprint through the chaos, grab the explosives as cannonballs rain down, return still alive, which Revelgretz treats like an encouraging sign from the universe, and points you to the harbor. The Brash Tide are pouring in from the north in attack boats. Luckily, they do not have cannons, which means we can hit them from the sky. You find Kebok, the flight master's assistant, and he sends you on the bravest windrider that he can spare. You take the hand bombs over the harbor, rain destruction down on the incoming swarm, dropping 85 of these crewmen back into the sea, blasting their boats into splinters. The harbor becomes a boiling mess of smoke, shouting, and very wet doggy paddling. Revelgretz laughs once and hopes that they know how to swim. He corrects himself. Actually, I take it back. This fight is not over. Revelgretz tells you Seahorn grabbed the nearest weapon and jumped off the ledge. You need to find Seahorn below. Which you do. Already pounding new holes into the Brash Tide skulls, he barks orders over the noise, tells you that the bruisers cannot handle the numbers, and asks you to cut down these Brash Tide raiders while he keeps moving. So you do. And then Seahorn points you at the ships that you know far too well. Damsel's Luck is the first one you see. Your old crew is firing at you. Bloodsail coursers are still a problem. Seahorn hands you a rope behind him and tells you to swing over and clear them out. You do. You swing over, you kill 8 of these bloodsail coursers, and return to the quay with seawater on your boots and the unpleasant realization that you've officially become the kind of pirate who fights his own people. Seahorn actually sounds proud, though. He tells you that you've grown into a real pirate, and Revelgretz gives you the last order of the day. End it. Kill Fleet Master Farrellin. Farrellin is cooped up in his cabin, ready to go on his ship. Ravelgratz gets you another Wind Rider, tries to hold off the cannon fire while you board. You crash into the ship with all your force, busting into the cabin like a paladin who's done pretending he enjoys piracy. After the Bloodsail's attack is broken, Booty Bay holds. Somehow, the last thing you remember is the harbor, the smoke, the waves, the feeling of being shoved out of the story by sheer exhaustion. When you wake up, you're not on the deck, you're back in Booty Bay. They found you bobbing in the harbor shortly after the remaining tackers turned tail. For a while, they worried that you were dead. Ravitz looks at you, cups your shoulder with one hand, and says what matters. You gave us the intelligence. You fought off the Bloodsail and the Brash Tide. Your name will always be remembered here in Booty Bay. Then, because he's Ravelgratz, he grins, tells you, we here in Booty Bay pride ourselves on our booty. Care to take the first pick? And that's the funny thing about this chapter. Northern Stranglethorn was jungle gods, troll spirits, ancient altars, and the Cape is just pirates, sabotage, smoke on the water, and your paladin, sweaty, stubborn, somehow still standing to not just survive it, he became part of Booty Bay's story. A name the bruisers will repeat, a cautionary tale the Bloodsails will always curse. A weird legends that the goblins will do their best to monetize. Out on the dock, the sea is calm again, like it has already forgotten about this battle. But of course you have not, because somewhere behind that noise there are still other threads pulling. Erwin Bantamflax still studying that impossible relic. The jungle is still full of these old spirits that do not sleep, and Stranglethorn, as always, is preparing its next problem. For now, though, your paladin stands at the edge of the pier and watches the horizon, letting the salt air hit his face like a reset. Booty Bay is safe for today, and that is enough. In the distance, far past the glittering the water, the world keeps turning, quietly daring the next chapter to begin. That is where we're going to end today's episode, and honestly, this is the end of our little paladin's journey, because we do have some other stuff to talk about in the northern eastern kingdoms, but we're going to talk about it from the perspective of a different character. So, Godspeed to our paladin. The last thing that he ever did, at least from our perspective, is be a pirate.
Why did we join the Bloodsail Buccaneers?
So that we could sabotage them from the inside.
What about if you get a lot of rep and you become an admiral?
What if you actually join them?
Because, yeah, on my Death Knight, I did that. I have the title Bloodsail Admiral.
I mean, I could be wrong. Don't you? If you do that, don't you become at war with Booty Bay?
Yeah, I don't go to Booty Bay on him.
So I guess that's the answer. If that's the case, you're an op. You ain't doing these quests. But I like Stranglethorn. I mean, I still think the Zul'Gurub stuff is my favorite. I don't care as much for like the zombie storylines and whatnot, but like the Raptor story was a lot of fun. All of this stuff that we've talked about in the Eastern Kingdoms, I still think the Defias plotline is my favorite one that we've discussed from the actual zones that we've talked about in the Eastern Kingdom so far. But yeah, I mean, we only got like a few left. We mentioned this last time, but like we've talked about most of like the Eastern Kingdoms from like a Forsaken perspective and kind of what goes on in Gilneas and stuff like that with a lot of those zones, and now we just kind of got to talk about like the Badlands and so
Winter, spring.
Pretty much, yeah. We can do some of those other ones like Winter, Spring and stuff like that. It's just they don't actually apply to the story as much, so I'm not entirely sure how they fit in. But yeah, I mean, eventually we're gonna ideally fill in every story, but pretty soon here, it's like I said, it's time to get back to actual Cataclysm and Deathwing and Old Gods and shit.
Wow, I forgot we were even in Cata.
Yes, sir. But yeah, Tim, do you want to say anything else before we end?
TBC hype. TBC hype.
TBC hype. Join the guilds. Join the Discords. Come hang out with us. But yeah, if you guys did make it this far, consider dropping us a like, a comment. It really does mean the world to us. Answering our polls over on Spotify in the Discord. If you are on Spotify, please consider dropping us a follow or a 5 stars. You guys have actually been crushing it over there lately. Again, not to try and puff you up too much. Can't have your confidence getting too high, but the analytics over on Spotify have looked crazy lately compared to the YouTube ones. So thank you guys. Get these people some head. But yeah, that's been awesome. So thank you so much for that. If you guys do want to support us in a grander way, consider checking out our Patreon at patreon.com/tidesoflore. But that is all that we have for you guys this week, and we will see you guys actually in 2 weeks, because fun fact, next week we're probably going to do like a little bonus episode thing in a different vein, so that's going to be kind of a surprise. I know we said we were doing a 2-parter. We've changed our mind. You'll see it. I think you'll enjoy it anyway. Thanks. Love you guys. Bye. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this episode. Your guys' support truly means the world to us. If you're interested in hearing more, we have our full show on YouTube and Spotify, new episodes dropping every Tuesday. I also want to take this moment to give a special thank you to Fantasy Lo-Fi for providing the music for this episode. You can find them on YouTube at Fantasy Lo-Fi or on Spotify under Bits and Hits. Be sure to show them some love, as their music does truly bring this journey to life. Once again, thank you for joining us on Tides of Lore, and we will see you next week.